Okay, it's okay. And Lieutenant, there's no downside in this.
No, the rapid system, we've used it in the past. It was successful with an investigation. So if this is gonna, fill that gap, I think it's gonna be perfect for us.
Gotta go.
Great. Anything else from council on that one?
No, that's good.
The next item we have is discussion of authorizing the sale of surplus property no longer needed for public use, that on an online auction website.
That's the fire truck, the Pierce pumper, the one that's been retired by the fire department. I think it's a 1992 or 93.
1993.
We had it on auction a couple weeks ago, nobody put a bid on it. So the fire department's lowered the reserve. I think they had a $30,000 reserve on it. Now they've lowered the reserve to $10,000, and so we're gonna put it up for auction again.
Okay.
Very good. Anything further on that one?
Karen, what's your question? They sell that fire truck, does that money go right to our general revenue? Or the fire company?
No, that comes to the town. We own the asset.
The next is discussion of authorizing advertisement and receipt of bids for the demolition of Desert Palm Motel. It's listed as Resolution 22451 for consideration at the regular meeting. And that had been, Karen?
So if that resolution is approved tonight, we have a rather aggressive timeline to get us from resolution to demolition. The bid will be advertised by January the 19th, and the reason that seems so far out is because it takes the Asbury Park Press about 6 days to actually get an advertisement in. So we'd send in the notice tomorrow, and we'd be optimistic it would be published by no later than the 19th, should be the 16th, 17th. With the bid opening on February the 9th, a recommendation of an award from the engineer and attorney by February the 12th. Award of the bid at the mayor and council meeting on February the 15th, with a notice to proceed by March 11, and then demolition March 11 until May 24, which is Memorial Day weekend. So that's the timeline that we're working in right now.
Very good. Any council questions for Karen or the committee on that? The next item D is discussion of public hearing for the Park Development Green Acres grant application to be scheduled for the agenda for the February 1, 2024 meeting. That follows up on the prior authorizations and the ongoing rehab upgrades for the park that were triggered and started initially with our discussion on the new lights, which have been now installed or up and running, and of course the donation of the playground from residents, which is also up and running. And this grant will deal with the other aspects of the park. That's on for...
I just had a question for clarification, only because I think some of the backup. So is it actually a grant?
Yeah, low interest loan.
Yeah, our municipality is not eligible for a grant. It would be a 2% loan over 20
Okay,
years.
that's what I thought. It was a different, okay. So does that have to be, they have to change that somehow on here, that it's not a grant? I mean, is that on for the resolutions too?
And so, and along with that, there's, again, public notice requirements. We need to have a notice by January 17th in the newspaper
Okay.
of our intent to apply for Green Acres loan. We need to have a public hearing, which we're looking at the public meeting on February 1st. Part of the work session will be that public hearing for Green Acres, and then I'm also working with our engineering firm to do some public education through our website, through our social media, through a SurveyMonkey tool on our website, so, just so we can get as much input as possible on the project.
Yeah, there's not much of an environmental impact. It's basically upgrading what's there already. The dugouts, the drainage, fences, and other things.
Drainage is the challenge, the engineer
Yes.
indicated as.
is when dugouts like fill up with water.
Yeah.
They do. So it's basically improving the infrastructure for what we already have. To make it like Brandy now.
Anything else from council on that one? And the next is discussion and purchase. This follows up several past meetings and comments and input, suggestions from various members of the public, looking into the purchase and if there's any kind of grant opportunities, which there may be, for purchase of various trees on borough properties. And I know we've got the state mandated ordinance that's requiring, now, the status of that ordinance, I don't,
It's on hold.
it was on hold.
It's on hold because this, the change that was made, I believe Eric was reviewing that,
Yeah.
the stormwater management.
Yeah, the state had some changes, so Eric reviewed the draft ordinance from Mr. Zaborski's office, had some comments, and I will send that back to Mr. Zaborski's office for final review. Has to be adopted by March, so since the state changed the regulations, we weren't required to have it adopted by January 1st. They moved the deadline date.
And there was rumored, I don't have any specifics, but there may be some grant monies associated with towns are involved, but there may not. And we talked, the trees aren't necessarily as exorbitant a purchase that some of the other projects might entail, and whether looking into that, looking for maybe donations, maybe some from the community, that kind of thing. But we've gotten input, and I know, thank Joe Connor, Councilman Connor. Council President Wilk have already begun the research with Karen and looking at all the angles. I know there are a number of properties, including but not limited to the Public Works Yard itself, that need that upgrade, and the others entail, we've talked about the former site of Park Central, as and some of the neighboring homes around there certainly have some models, including one at the table, that's some beautiful trees, and they grew within a couple of years. They were really a nice green barrier, all buffer for the properties. So.
I think we'll just need to identify the locations, Mayor, and then we'll come back to you with some type of plan on that in a short amount of time.
And I started researching, since Monday when we talked about this, there's some grant money. I was talking to our grant specialist today. He doesn't believe there's anything out there, but we're going to keep looking.
Great. Thank you.
That's good.
And those were the listed items. I know there's been a whole host of meetings ongoing this week on a lot of major topics. I don't know if we're at a position to give any recommendations or anything, but I don't know.
Yesterday's?
Yeah, we definitely,
I mean, I could give a brief.
sure, a
if you
brief
want.
overview, I think, would be.
So we had a meeting yesterday with the superintendents of Central Regional High School, members of their school board, as well as our Seaside Park local school board members and that administration, as well as members from Bill Kraft, myself, Mayor, and Karen, to discuss the feasibility study and the activity going on with the, proposed withdrawal of Seaside Heights from Central Regional, and what the impact would be on Seaside Park if that were to be approved. And what Central Regional is asking, and that we said we would continue in good faith discussions with them, but make no commitment to participate, is they're looking to do an additional feasibility study, partnering up with Ocean Gate, not necessarily because of the Seaside Heights proposed withdrawal, but to do its own feasibility study of the impacts to all of the sending districts and what might be other alternatives for that regional school district. Because right now the state is encouraging K through 12 regionalization, as opposed to what a lot of the sending municipalities have now, which is a very disjointed flow for the children. Money aside, it's not the best educational experience. I mean, there's always a financial impact, but what's the impact for the students?
Yeah.
So we're going to follow up with a second session with them next Friday to sit at the table where they're having a consultant, third party, very consultant, make a proposal to them about such a, like a secondary feasibility study that they would sponsor, and that's in theory funded by a state grant. That's the status as of now.
A preliminary estimate from the CFO, Kevin O'Shea, said that if Seaside Heights pulls out, it would be a 4.5 cent increase on our tax dollar. Again, this is just preliminary, and that was his initial assessment. I'm sure our residents in the audience are very concerned about this and are wondering what that number is, but that's what it looks like at this time.
I would just, I guess, not to undo what you just said, but the caveat on that is there's a lot of assumptions built into that,
Yes.
and that would be over the course of 5 years.
Yes, it's a
That's a big-
stage
yeah,
number.
yeah.
The first year would be no impact, and after 5 years, it would build up to that. Of course, it would be all relevant.
A 20% potential impact over the course of 5 years to go to 20
It's
to
a
60.
staged increase.
Yeah.
Gina, if you want that information.
Again, preliminary.
Do you know how many ascending districts go to Central, how many towns send their town?
Yeah, for Ocean Gate,
Ocean Gate.
Highland Heights, Seaside
Seaside Heights,
Heights,
and all.
Seaside Park, and Berkeley
And
Township,
Berkeley.
obviously.
No,
well, that's
Part of
them,
it, yeah.
okay.
They're the majority.
Okay. So this would affect all the ascending towns?
Correct, yes. Thank you, Mayor.
Can we also, anything else on that specific topic? Obviously, there's no recommendation or determination at this point, but much appreciate all the hard work and monitoring it, and those in attendance and keeping going on that issue and reporting back. We also had a meeting today with our special projects engineer, Deb Romeyer, who's also the engineer for the planning board, and it entailed some recommendations from the planning board as to the placing of a new cable across Barnegat Bay for JCP&L, and what would happen in their dismantling and abandonment of the existing cable. And the planning board had a lot of very real concerns concerning impacts, and that's still ongoing as well. But we did make some progress. They didn't put in writing what they would commit to, but obviously they're right in an area. They've changed the location now to be the north side of the boat ramp, where previously was the south side, and it entails going over or under the county's outfall pipe. So obviously that's of substantial concern as to any impact of taking that offline. Also the equipment, there's concerns as to the native plantings that are there, and certainly concerns were raised as to leaving that cable abandoned in the bay, and the planning board made reference, as did the public who attended that meeting, that there's impact from ice, there's impact from storms such as just occurred, where that cable has come up, the old cable, and it's right in a prime area with kayakers, jet skier, boaters, fishermen, and kids that are walking there. And as such, it's already potentially hazardous, and we've brought that to the attention of JCP&L as well. That it's something that they should address no matter what they do with this other project. And of course, the issue that we've gained a lot of familiarity with was the portion of their approval that happened in seemed like a matter of weeks, that they can go ahead with their project because it's labeled apparently to be in the public interest, and as such they were given permits including but not limited to the United States Army Corps of Engineers, and they were allowed to go ahead with this project in the bay, and of course the disruption of acres of SAV, underwater eelgrass, that the planning board brought that up as well. So that's another concern. And they're going ahead with the Army Corps saying that they're just going to monitor it. So that's what we were advised meeting.
I think there's one other issue, Mayor, was the underground cable is going to be protected with a matting, concrete matting. Well, I have concerns over that because the matting is going to be put right on the surface of the bay. The blocks are approximately 6 inches high. And I felt that was a hazard when you come in with your boat, that you're not going to have a sandy base. It would be concrete, you'd be hitting concrete approximately 80 feet out. So, we have no detailed drawings, more information would be provided.
And Ocean County hadn't been noticed formally, and they hadn't solicited their opinion. Obviously, it's county road, but it's also the county outfall pipe, so that was another issue that we brought to their attention.
Has DEP approved this new change?
Apparently so. They have.
So hypocritical, it's just like one project gets the carte blanche green light and everything else gets held up. So it's like very disturbing.
And I know there's another major meeting tomorrow
Tomorrow's the
as
meeting.
well, with a lot of ongoing work this past week with various significant topics.
Tomorrow's meeting will be pertaining to the new well there,
Yes.
the location and how we're going to move forward on that.
Anything else from council on the work session?
Can I just
Yes,
backtrack 1 second to
sure.
the central regional things, thinking about it? The other key thing that I think came out of yesterday's meeting is, and I think June actually proposed it, that we ensure that our representative on the Central Regional School Board, our representatives from the Seaside Park School, and us establish a standing committee so that we can all be aligned in sending the same consistent message, assuming that we all have the same, we come to the same conclusion of what we want, right? That we're sending one message to to the Central Regional School Board versus kind of being each working independently, and I think that's great.
And we kind of created a committee, didn't we?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
We had that working group, and I think everyone has learned a lot and is eager to continue. June serves as the
Joanne.
chair of the local school board, and we have
And Joanne Penn, who's here, is also
Penn,
our new
our
representative.
is here, and we had, obviously, Councilmember Condos has a great deal of experience, having served on that, our local board for so long, and she was there along with Councilmember Kraft with his abilities on budget issues. It was very welcome, running the numbers right on the spot with all the central regional representatives, and we had a Berkeley representative as well.
Yeah.
And met the new superintendent in the
Yes.
district. Anything else from council?
Just one quick question, and probably for Steve, but on a demolition contract for the Desert Palm, can we put a penalty clause in, because you're running really close to summer, they're supposed to be done by May 24th. Can we make that an absolute drop dead date, or they pay a penalty? We definitely don't want that going on in the summertime.
I'm not preparing the bid, but you always can put in a penalty clause for missing a deadline. That wouldn't be uncommon, quite frankly, in public contracts.
Good point. Thank you.
Good. Anything else from council? If not, we'll go into the audience for any public comments on any work session items. If anyone has them, if they could give their name and address into the record. June?
June Korzeniski, 11480. I just wanted to emphasize that that meeting yesterday did not commit us to anything, to regionalizing, changing things. What it does give us is a seat at the table. And rather than have the information about what happens and what the procedures are from the Asbury Park Press or Triborough or even Shoreby. We want to have somebody some of us there, so we hear it firsthand. So that's the only reason why I would be inclined to join. And what they want us to do is just say, we're willing to look at regionalization, or it's not regionalization, it's K through 12 school district. So that's the only thing that we want to be in on the decisions rather than sitting outside.
And be able to ask one questions.
Right, ask the questions, because we do have some information that they may not be giving us. So I just want to make that clear.
A good point, and thank you. Any other public comments on work session items? Yes, Edie?
8548 11th Avenue. I have a question on the demolition of the projected demolition of Desert Pond. Does that mean that the litigation has moved forward or has ended, or? That's my question. Because I know that we've been told that, the price has not been agreed upon and it's in litigation. My question is, has the litigation moved forward? Has it ended? Has there a resolution?
It's still in litigation. I don't represent the town on that, because I understand it's still in litigation.
So we're allowed to demolish?
Yeah, because in the condemnation, you take title. You
Okay.
have a taking, you take title, so it's yours. The issue is price.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other public comments on work session items? Hearing none, I'll close the public portion. I'd entertain a motion from the council to adjourn the work session, take a few moments, and then go right into the regular meeting. Motion by Councilmember Amador, second by Councilmember Connors. Roll call?
Councilmember Anfield?
Yes.
Councilmember Condos?
It was Connors.
Oh, I'm sorry, Councilmember Connor.
Oh, I didn't do it, but, okay, yes.
Councilmember Connor?
Yes.
Councilmember Kraft?
Yes.
Councilmember Rotunda?
Yes.
Council President Will?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Let me pick up the answer.